Welcome to History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts. Are we live?
I think we're live.
I think we're live.
Oh, good. It's good. I think we made it.
Are we there? I guess so, man. I guess so. I need Jordan to chime in or something. Let us know we're up there. It kind of went funky, and we've been having a little bit of trouble here tonight, haven't we?
It has been technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. I'm about ready to get ticked off, man. So, but hey, here we are. We've got a great show tonight. I'm real excited about it.
Me too.
This is one about your people, isn't it?
Yeah. I know this. Well, I know who this guy is. I guess he's not. He's not that close to my people.
Yeah, but your people put him, or he put your people up to it, or something like that. You've got like an evil connection
with my people.
Huh?
I said he may have inflamed my people.
He inflamed your people. Well, yeah, they got him riled up and fired up, kind of thing. Maybe not him directly. Yeah, they never really do that themselves, do they? So,
yeah.
So who are we talking about tonight on History Nuts?
Caleb Powers, Secretary of State of Kentucky, and also convicted of collaborating to kill the governor of Kentucky.
My gosh, collaborating to kill the governor of Kentucky. The only sitting governor to be assassinated, I think, too, and that was William Goebel. Mm-hmm. You and I have had a show about William Goebel before. You know, if you want to go back and check that out. But make sure, guys. It looks like Denise says she's watching in New York. I was just getting ready to say that. Make sure you chime in. Let us know where you're at. And if you notice on the little video at the beginning, we said the best part about the show is
you can chime in.
You can chime in. You can join in. We want you to join in. We want you to have, put some comments in there, ask some questions and such, because Jameson is 100% the absolute expert about Caleb Powers. So,
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I know a few things about him. I read his book. There you go.
You read his book that he wrote while he's in prison.
While he was in prison, convicted. Yes, he wrote a book.
That's a good time. I tell you what, I've always said, if I went to prison, I'd come out of there with a lot of degrees. But I'm too pretty for prison, so I can't go there. So, but awesome. So here we go. Caleb Powers. What's the what's his story? Where does he begin?
Well, back in Whitley County, Kentucky.
Whitley County.
Yeah. At an area called Brush Creek, which there's probably a Brush Creek probably in about every county of Kentucky.
I know a few, yeah.
so Brush Creek, Whitley County. But he grew up there, farming with his father and so forth. But the most interesting part of it, he had a good youth and upbringing, but his father's goal was for one of his kids to be a lawyer, and it was kind of pushed the ambition for him. And he climbed the ladder and was very young. What
was your father's goal for you?
Oh, I don't know. Really, graduate college. That probably was a big one. Or go to college might have been even.
All right.
The first step.
All righty.
What about you? Huh?
My father's goal for me, I don't know. That's a good question. You got me off guard there. But to stay out of prison, like so. But so he's Brush Creek down there in Whitley County, down there on the border with Tennessee, and he's born in 1869, and he doesn't have a normal life, for a rural citizen of that time. So he ends up going to multiple different colleges, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really pursues education, and doesn't take it for granted, I guess you should say it that way. He was a bit of a wily youngster at his one-room school, as you would imagine, in Whitley County. But he did eventually really, I guess, take the education seriously, and like I said, went to 2 or 3 different colleges, that's about it as far as college goes. He went to Union first, then he went
Barberville.
In Barberville, still there, still college. A good question. Do you know when it started? When Barberville was first established, or Union College? Sorry.
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I did go to 4 seasons of football games there for the last few years. It's Williamson Stadium down there, the home of the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
But I don't know when they started, but I think it was right after the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken. That's why they called it Union College in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing. Don't quote me on that, though, but I'm almost certain
certain. Well, that's pretty neat. Speaking of that, so Caleb Powers, his grandfathers, both fought. I should say it this way. His father, no, it is his grandfather. Sorry, his grandfather fought for the Union, I believe, and his wife's grandfather, his mother's father fought for the South, and a bit of a divided household, I guess.
Not uncommon for the time. Yeah,
but then his grandfather on his mother's side sold his slaves once the war began. I think that's how it went. But just obviously, the Civil War was pretty evident, and he was born right after it. So I'm surprised though he doesn't have a big Civil War general's name, as in tended to be the time or the tradition of the time, but he does not. At least I don't know of a Caleb Powers general.
No, I don't know about him either. But Mary Frances Miller Warren says she's watching from Corbin, Kentucky, just right down the road from Union College and Williamsburg there. And Don Smith says good information. Southeastern Kentucky is his ancestral area, he says. So, like very, very many of us. So he goes to Union College. He goes to UK. He goes to Center College. He goes to Northern Indiana Normal School, which today is Valpo. You never heard of Valpo?
Yes.
Valparaiso. Yeah, man, the Crusaders kind of thing. You remember that when Homer Drew hit that shot back at, no, you were probably like 3 years old. That back in the NCAA tournament. But getting off track. But he also goes to West Point.
I know
but he doesn't finish, does he?
No, so that's probably one of the sadder parts. I don't know if you want to call it sad or disappointments, I guess, of his early life, was that he got to go to West Point, and his father and mother were like super proud that he got to go. He went to West Point, but then he starts having eye problems, or at least that's what he says that the problem was. He has vision problems, and then he has to return to Barberville, and
it's Barville. It's Barville.
Barville.
Barville. Yeah, that's the way I don't know how you spell that. B-A-R-V-L-L. Barville. We don't even have vowels in there. Barville. But I did have a fella down in Barville told me it's Barberville. I don't know what hillbilly redneck told you that's Barville, but that's what I've always heard. But
yeah.
So he goes back to Barville, and he starts to practice law, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to think about today's time. Somebody doing this, but he's trying to get his degree. He's practicing law, and he decides to run for a superintendent.
Yeah.
All this is going on while he's like, 22, 23.
Yeah.
He's very young, and he's doing all these things, and which, it's not absurd to have a job and be going to school at the same time, but it is kind of crazy how much he was doing at one time.
Right. He's got the world by the tail, doesn't he?
Yeah, and even having to travel. You're in the middle of southeastern Kentucky, it's not really easy to go and take a college course somewhere and so forth. So pretty wild that he was doing so much at one time.
Yeah, he's definitely an achiever for his demographic and his region and especially his time period kind of thing. I mean, during that time period, I mean, the illiteracy rate is through the roof, during that time period. And here he is. He's attended all these places of education. So he rises to the top, and he gets voted. He becomes the Secretary of State in Kentucky. That's a huge position, isn't it?
Well, yeah, quite important. And to set the scene a little bit, because this is all very important compared to what happens with Goebel. So, William Bradley was the first Republican governor of Kentucky, and he'd won in, I guess it would have been 1896. He became the first Republican governor, and obviously Kentucky at the time was still very much controlled by Democrats. So the Democrats weren't too excited and happy about that. However, at this election with Powers and all these other people running for office, Governor Taylor wins the governor's race. So you have another Republican governor who's won.
Right.
But things get a little murky. Things get a little crazy.
Yeah, big time. We've talked about this before, that that area of Kentucky was very Republican, and the area of northern Kentucky was extremely Democrat. And this William Goebel cat is no guy to be messed with, is he?
No, he has the power, if you want to say it that way, pretty bluntly. I mean, he had the power of a lot of power in the legislature and all around Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky. I mean, it probably wasn't just northern Kentucky. It was probably western Kentucky was probably pretty Democrat as well.
Yeah, right.
But they were obviously upset because Republicans were beginning to get some momentum, I guess would be the best way to say it. They were getting some more momentum. But yeah, so that's kind of where that is.
Right, and Robin says Robin Mueller says she's watching from Oklahoma. Says she loves our show. Wish Oklahoma historians could do something similar for this state. Maybe we can. You do some Oklahoma history. Let's do that on Friday nights. How about that? But hey, so we're getting ready to get to the real meat and potatoes of this story here of the murder of the governor and Caleb Powers, this guy who's an upcoming promising guy, getting ready to go straight to prison for the murder. So, but before we get into that part of it, we're going to cut off to a real fast commercial. Make sure you hang with us, guys. Catch us on the backside. Are you back? Yeah, man, I'm going to kick that off right there. Yeah, man, that was a really neat story right there about, I never knew that about Mr. Spencer there. And you do a whole series on your podcast about all the different governors and all the different counties and how and what I really like about that is that was daggone quick. I like that. You're right to the point.
You can only keep people's attention for so long, but yeah, so
I know.
On the YouTube channel, I'm trying to get all the counties done and all the governors, which they kind of correlate because some of the governors or some of the counties are named after the governors, so that helps out. But about 120 counties, there's a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
I think Kentucky has the second most counties in states, I guess.
Is that right?
I think.
Huh.
Something like
Interesting. That. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, a lot of that has to do with the topography and stuff. Another show for sure. And Denise Begley says that she has deep roots in southeastern Kentucky, and COVID kept her from her making her annual trip here in 2019. Denise, tell us where do you go? What do? You say you make an annual trip. I think you said you're in New York. Tell us what you do when you come to Kentucky. That'd be real interesting for me to hear. And Ansel Hall says that Caleb Powers is buried in Barville Cemetery. And I'm planning on going there and making a video about him. So lots of stuff there. So awesome. So he's Governor-Elect Powers.
Secretary of State.
Goebel.
Yes.
Governor-Elect Goebel. is on his way. He's about ready to get inaugurated, I guess, the next day, isn't he? And he's headed over there to the Capitol building. And what happens?
He gets shot right there in front of the Capitol. There's actually a marker.
There is
in the old Capitol building that shows where he got shot at. He's rushed over.
I stood right there. I had to duck, kind of thing. Because the shot comes from the right over there at that building. So it's kind of eerie spot. I don't like standing there. So
yeah. But what building was it came from, and what?
I do believe it was the office of Caleb Powers, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the shot came from the Secretary of State's office, which of course entangles old Caleb into the whole situation. It's we kind of get into this area of, is he guilty or not? Obviously, if a shot came from his office, that's going to look very suspicious. But where was he at this time when the shot went off? He was on a train to Louisville. So,
well, of course, you got to have an alibi, Thing like that. He might have dropped his key or something somewhere, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, you never know. Because the real story there is that this was a major election during a very difficult, fiery time when people are pulling pistols, people are beating each other in the street about the Republican Democrats. We talk about this going on right now today. This ain't nothing going on right now than what these guys were doing. That huge. Governor Goebel himself was involved in an altercation up there with, I guess,
that's right.
Slandered him, right?
Yeah.
So these people didn't fool around. It's at the end of dueling, so these guys are just ready to beat you with their canes and stuff at this point. So, Jameson, I tell you what, we need to bring back dueling, don't we?
Well, I think we might be a lot nicer if that was the case.
That's it. If a guy's going to say, man, I tell you what, I'll challenge you to a duel, there'll be a lot less of these keyboard warriors on there attacking us on social media and stuff, right? Kind of thing. So we need to bring back dueling. So anyway, it's such a heated thing, and a lot of times the governor himself was allocated allocated to the. There you go. Are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. Look
like you dozed off there for a second. Were you sleeping?
Oh man, I'm trying to stay awake. No.
Yeah. It's a little late. I think it's an exciting story because now we're really getting to the meat and potatoes. So go ahead. Yeah.
So things are getting pretty intense. The governor's race is contested, and we kind of got to back up a little bit because the Republicans at the time kind of say, hey, they're going to try to steal this election from us, even though we won. And this is before Goebel is shot. They're like, hey, they're going to try to steal this election from us. We need to go and rally our supporters. So Caleb Powers goes to Barberville.
They're going to steal the election,
Eastern Kentucky, and says, hey, they're going to steal this election, or they're taking this from us.
I've heard that before. On both sides.
So he gets a bunch of people. The story is that one of these people was my great grandfather.
Yeah,
that's the story. And he brings up a bunch of people. However, he shows up and he's the only one who went and got people. No one else went and did their part and went and got anybody to support him. So it kind of really makes him look even more guilty because he's the only one who brought people. These people were very, had their guns. That they were upset. Eventually, they did go home, and then eventually the election was overturned, and then Goebel gets shot. Also, there's those times that he was probably in a place that he did not speak highly of Goebel, and for very, it's crazy to say this, but for very legitimate reasons. Absolutely. The only reason Goebel was elected was because of the law he himself had created and basically put himself into the governor's office. So that's that. We talked about that, I think, on the time we talked about Goebel.
Absolutely.
But it's just kind of insane. So old Powers stands his ground, but then eventually he does take off.
He gets charged. With the murder kind of thing. Or as the mastermind, the word is what, a complicit to murder there, and he gets found guilty. He appeals.
Gets found guilty again.
Again, kind of thing. They charge him like 347 times, don't they, for the same crime?
Yeah, so he goes through three trials and is convicted each time. I think the fourth trial, he's finally like with the hung jury.
Yeah.
That doesn't help him any. He still stays in jail. But he's finally pardoned in 1908 by the...
8 years later. 8 years later. 8 years later. Guys, that was 2013. Just imagine spending 2013 to now locked up with Big Bub over there, kind of thing. So that's 8 years. I mean, this guy really gave a lot to his cause and his party. Whether or not he was guilty or not. Do you think he was guilty?
Well, that's a great question. But I wanted to bring up too. You have been to, was it in Scott County? That had the jail that he'd been in, which is
the old jailhouse there in Georgetown.
Yeah,
which was in really use until kind of recently, 1990s or something.
Wow. I definitely need to visit that place. That, and like you said, Barberville. Definitely need to go to those places that feature Caleb Powers, because kind of went down a rabbit hole there. But anyway, was he guilty or not? That was the question.
Well, I know that your family was the one that he loaned the key to shoot Governor Goebel there. So I guess you're going to say that he was not guilty. I guess is what you're going to say.
Well, right? you bring up that, like, the thing is, like, it's never been solved. Like, who shot Goebel has never been solved.
It's like JR. Who shot JR? Man, I don't know.
Like
that's way before your time, isn't it?
Yeah, JR.
Oh.
Talking about the wrestler? I don't.
No, J.R. Ewing from the TV show Dallas. Kind of thing. So
Dallas had a TV show? What do you mean?
Yeah. It was a very, very, very popular show back in the 80s. So some people are shaking their heads at you watching this right now, dude. When were you born? In 2011 or something? The
80s. The 80s.
Right.
So, well, it's interesting. It's hard to say one way or the other whether he was guilty or not, but it goes back and forth. Like, some days when we recorded the podcast where we talked about him, I was like, you know what, he had to know something. Then, like, the next day I'll be thinking, I'm like, well, it's possible he didn't know anything. But the one thing, he was very smart. He was very smart for his age. He was very ambitious as well for his age. I mean, this was all happening while he was still in his 20s. That was one reason why he was a really good orator, which means a really good speaker. So he was very charismatic. He had the makings of being a very good politician, but also his youth was used against him a lot. He was very young, so he was easier to attack. But everything he did, he was pretty successful at. So I don't know.
Well, this, it ruined him, though, right? I mean, he spent 8 years in prison, and the rest of his life was just a downward spiral, and he turned into a lowly worm after that, didn't he?
No. As in many politicians, they get second chances, and he has a successful career from that part.
Hugely successful. Yeah. Hugely successful. After that he gets elected back to the U.S. House of Representatives and serves 8-9 years in the House. Yeah. Representing Kentucky, and then eventually he moves, I think, to Baltimore, Maryland, and he becomes the assistant counsel for the U.S. Shipping Board, kind of thing. He basically takes as a lawyer, as a federal job for the rest of his life, kind of thing. So, isn't that? I mean, it's very crazy, kind of thing. I mean, this guy goes to prison, but now a lot of times, if you're the good guy or the bad guy, it just depends on the crowd that you're around, kind of thing. So,
very true. Yep.
He gets. Is he? To some, he might have been a folk hero, kind of thing. Or the fall guy. I think 3 people overall spent some prison time over that murder.
Oh, but I think it might have been. I think it might have been more than that. It's more than that. Like, well, we can talk more about it next time. But the trial and all that kind of stuff. It's so it's so deep and murky. I mean, it's political from the top to bottom. It's just crazy, really, when you think about it. So
right,
yeah.
But is there some questions out there?
Yeah. I am. That's
that little thing that pops up. I can't see it there.
As far as it's just so interesting because he goes, go ahead and read it, Joe. Oklahoma, love your show. We already read this one.
We already read all those.
Oklahoma needs to get up on our level. I visit family in Frankfurt mostly, but am looking forward to visiting Owsley County, where I'm going to visit some of my ancestry graves. So that's pretty good. That's a good idea. I mean, good trips. Now we've had some people who have did some historical trips and followed some of the topics we've talked about.
Absolutely.
So that's quite a bit.
Yeah, you see that there's.
This is a good question.
Yeah.
Whose gun was the shot? Did the shot come from? They don't know. They don't know that the gun was never found.
It was from great-great-grandpa Cable, is what you said. And the story you were telling me before we came on here, but you don't want that to get out. I'm sorry, you didn't want that to get out.
I'm sure the statute of limitations is cleared up. That's not no gun evidence. Nothing like that. I mean, it is a really crazy trial because the rumors were just wild. People were accusing people. People were bribed. Any sort of corruption you could think of was happening at the time as well. So,
right,
it's pretty good. We got another. Did the shot come from the dark or happen? No, it was actually in the middle of the day. Middle of the day, he was walking down the street. So, walking right up to the Capitol building. Yeah, that's another kind of. It was broad daylight. It happened in broad daylight, and nobody was initially arrested. So yeah.
Like with other there's a lot of conspiracy theories that are going on right now about things. Seems like every other day someone's forwarded me a video or an article or something like that. But there was definitely an opportunity or there was definitely a desire to knock him off so the old governor could stay in the power right there. But it turned into a big mess. I mean, huge mess. The National Guard was called in, kind of thing. Yeah. They evacuated the Capitol. All the government, the legislatures fled, and depending on your party, whether you went to Louisville or London.
At one point, there were two operating governments in Kentucky.
Yeah, and, I mean, just like the Civil War.
Yeah, it was wild. I do have this book here. If you can see it there. I've not started reading it yet, but it is on my to read list. The Assassination at the State House. And there's a picture back here on the back here, if you can see, that's a drawing of the of when he was assassinated. You can see that. So I know that might be hard to see.
It's really cool. I mean, you can stand right there, kind of thing. There's a statue of him right there, and just over to the left on the sidewalk, there's a little bronze placard there bronze plate there on where he was shot at. So, but I always see people that whenever I'm around there, I always see people taking pictures there and things like that. I'm always ducking, man, kind of thing. So. Well, good deal. That's a really neat story about Caleb Powers. Is there anything else you want to bring up about him at all?
We got another question. Author is Ron Elliott. Ron Elliott. It's called Assassination at the State House, the Murder of Kentucky Governor William Goebel. Now, and if you want to find...
when we get off here, maybe you can take a picture of that and put it in the comments there.
Put it in the comments. There you go.
So.
And you can look up... it's called My Story by Caleb Powers.
Yeah, so that he wrote while he was in prison.
That he wrote it while he was in prison, yeah. So that's a good resource too. They're both pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of information out there, I guess, but not a lot of people know about it either.
What would you write about if you were in prison, Jameson?
I guess all the times that I was running around doing stuff. I don't know. I don't think I have too many. I don't think I have too much interesting things to write about. So
yeah. So good deal. That's a question you've probably never been asked.
2020 was. That's what 2020. We're right about that. That's probably the craziest thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what's going on for you guys over the next little bit? What have you guys been doing? What's coming up over there at the Kentucky History Podcast?
So I just had an interview last week with a Kentucky music group called the Local Honeys, and talked about some of their music and some history, of course, as well. So it was
Local
well.
Honeys.
Yep. Highly, if you like old traditional kind of Kentucky music, I highly recommend it.
Check it out.
It's good, yeah. But that'll be the next few episodes, and that's it at the moment. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We last weekend I think we were in Louisville, but we did. You might have saw the live video of Colonel Sanders and the ladies that wrote the Happy Birthday song, and those will be coming out there edited. We've got a really neat release on Sunday. If you check our Facebook page out, and the video's already out on our YouTube, but if you want to check our Facebook, we're at the largest Civil War monument in Kentucky, and there's a fella that with me that's giving you a little bit different perspective. And what I'm really excited about tomorrow afternoon, so watch your lives, I'll be live. We're going to be at the graves of Johnny Cash and George Jones.
Cool.
So we'll be live there tomorrow, shooting some videos. You'll have the edited versions and things like that. That's going to be on Friday. On Sunday or Monday, be on the lookout, because Mary Grace out west in Washington State, she's going to be shooting at the graves of Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, his son, and Jimi Hendrix. So yeah, so a little bit different than cool. Some things. Different stuff than we've done in the past. So I'm really super excited about those, and something a little bit not as historic, but still somewhat historic. So those videos will be out there real soon. And make sure you check out both Kentucky History Podcast and Family Tree Nuts, our YouTube pages. Make sure you subscribe on there, because both of us are putting out stuff almost on a daily basis kind of thing. So if you subscribe, my mom asked me how much I got to pay to subscribe to your thing. I said, it's free, Mom, kind of thing. You just click subscribe, click the bell, and you'll get a little notification when we put new videos on there. So make sure you subscribe to that stuff. So
before we go though, Russ, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
With stuff going on currently in the world, who do I need to sell my hedges to in order to make all this money that people are making?
Sell your hedges?
Yeah, the hedge fund stuff. Who do I need to sell my hedges to?
well, I think that's a little bit different hedge, Jameson. That kind of thing. So, I know. Yeah, you got to invest in gold, man. Okay. Gold. That Confederate money's coming back, is what I'm told. So if you got an old chest of that up in the attic, might be time to pull it out here shortly. So, Robin said she watched the birthday song video. She didn't know about those ladies. Love learning new tidbits of history like that. Yeah, it's amazing. It really was. And Carolyn says hello from Tennessee. Carolyn, I really appreciate you and your husband, your son, supporting everything we do too down there in Tennessee. We've got to come down and do some videos here in the next month or so. Let's do it. Robin said she cut hers down. All out of luck. Man, this conversation's getting silly, huh? So, but there's another comment there from Ansel. Will you see that, Jameson?
Governor Black and Governor Sampson also buried at Barberville Cemetery.
All right.
Pretty cool.
All right.
I mean, there's actually, in Pineville, going to Pineville, there's some pretty, oddly enough, cemetery, there's a lot of known people there, but anyway, same area, I guess, close enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Really cool. Absolutely. So I guess we'll sign off. Like I said, look tomorrow. Look, I'll be over there. I'll have my black cap on when I'm with Johnny Cash. And right over there by George Jones's, Johnny Paycheck's grave is right there by it too. So you know Johnny Paycheck, don't you?
Johnny Paycheck.
Johnny Paycheck. I know you've heard his most famous song, "Take This Job and Shove It."
Oh,
the most empowering song in all of all of history. So, but that's where we'll be tomorrow. So check those out. But anything else you want to say about Mr. Caleb Powers?
There's a lot to say. A lot. We may need to talk about him again. There's so much to say.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that for sure. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll sign off for now. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels and stuff like that. But, hey, we'll get out of here. And remember, Family Tree Nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
So you've built your family tree and made a ton of amazing discoveries. What a fulfilling experience it is to breathe life back into them. But what are you going to do with all the information that you found? Are you going to let it sit on some computer or some website? Maybe hand off stacks of papers and binders that you have to some relative that may be interested, but maybe not be able to make heads or tails of the research that you've done. Let us help honor your ancestors in video. At Family Tree Nuts, we make videos with you at the location of relevance to your ancestors, such as their gravesite, their homes, land, or other location pertaining to them. You tell their story in your words, documenting them forever. The professionally produced videos are published on our YouTube page where they are easily shared with your family members. The videos are also searchable and will be able to be seen for centuries by your descendants. Imagine being able to see a video of one of your ancestors. Well, your descendants are going to be able to do just that. And we have tons of examples that we can share with you. These videos are fun to make, and we can make many of them in just a single day. Don't let those amazing discoveries that you found slip back away into the darkness. Let us help you honor them by, in a sense, keeping them alive forever. Contact us for details.